Everything's working. Caroline is checking on her computer, so, but welcome. Welcome to our chamber chat for this month. And we have Keith G. from the Children's Hunger Project with me, and special guest Shannon Gronich with Business Acceleration Summit, and she has written Media Magic, so the perfect person to be on this chamber chat because she just brings a wealth of information for this topic, and we're really thrilled that she agreed to join us. She was the original co-host way back when. I think we started in 2016. So we've been doing a lot of chamber chats. Just to give you, though, an update of some of the things before we delve into our topic that are coming up. So this is a big deal. We have our Disaster Recovery Expo, and it's this Thursday. It is free to attend. And a lot of businesses think, well, you know, I'm not going to need that. Why would I go to that? They think of natural disasters like hurricanes, but we're actually talking about business disruption. So the keynote is Martin Duffy, and he's with the SBDC, and he's going to have a disaster planning checklist review, overall risk assessment, risk management action plan, and then a recovery and business resumption plan. So that's really to kick it off, and then we'll have two panel discussions. The first one is on preparation, and the second panel is recovery. So in terms of preparing, we have your insurance needs. So they'll be talking about business insurance. There'll also be somebody from IT talking about cybersecurity and really how to make sure your website and your how you do business is safe. We have Bart Getchens from FPL, and you know, with the power and electricity go out, man, that's a serious problem. So we're definitely excited to have Bart on there. And then talking about active shooters, it's something that, you know, unfortunately has become a reality, and for a lot of businesses, you know, you hear about them happening in schools, but they happen in businesses all the time. So we'll be discussing that. And then that's the first panel. The second panel is recovery. So cleanup and restoration, if you do have a catastrophe, you know, how to minimize the damage. And then if you're having problems with your insurance company, having a public claims adjuster. We also have the immediate emergency assistance. So Kimberly Prosser is the director of Brevard County's emergency management operations, and they are in full force when there's a hurricane or a disaster that comes through here. So I think she's going to be fabulous. And then financial assistance, getting SBA loans. Vince Lopresti is the senior area manager, and so a lot of companies don't know how to recover, and the statistics are frightening. I think it's about 40 to 46% of businesses, if they're closed more than 10 days, they'll never reopen. And so we want businesses to be prepared to know what options there are for them so that they don't have to try and scramble when a catastrophe happens. They've got a plan already set and they're good to go. And then coming up with some of our events this month, we have our Brevard Business Connections. So that's our after hour mingle, and we are going to have our Ballard board. So we're going to go kayaking or paddleboarding. We'll have hot dogs and s'mores, and you can bring the whole family, and that's on the 24th of July. Our marketing events committee meets on the 25th, and our ambassador meeting and new member orientation is on the 26th. You can go to our website, greaterpalmbaychamber.com, and get all this information. And then our guest host with us today, Shannon Gronich, is running Brevard Business Professionals with Lauren Cohen, Scale Up Checkup. So she'll be talking about your business and how to ramp it up for success. So that's on the 30th at Red Ginger, and we're always thrilled to have that at Grace's Place in the mall. And then we're having a 30th anniversary celebration. It's the Chamber's 30th anniversary this year. So our next luncheon, we are moving it to Promise in Brevard off of Norfolk Parkway, and that's on August the 7th. And we are just going to have a celebration. It'll be a fun party. Come and join us and just celebrate some of the successes of the Chamber and get to meet your other fellow Chamber partners. And then next month, we actually have this on our calendar ahead of time. It is, our chamber chat will be Get Your Business Online with Google. So we actually have Google coming to, great. We actually have Google who will be operating via webinar, and so they'll be talking about how to get online with Google, because obviously the more search engines that you're on, the better. So that's going to be our next chamber chat. So you will not really be seeing Keith and I. We'll be having the experts from Google take over, but well, I'll start it off just so Keith doesn't have to drive all the way down here. Okay, I don't think we are live because we got a message that says we are not live streaming. So, so I don't know if they can still see us, right, on the Zoom. We should still keep talking.
Let's continue.
Okay, we'll continue then. Okay, our IT person is here, so we're not sure what's going on. So we're going to turn this just a smidge so she can see what she's doing, and hopefully we can get Shannon back on because she's the queen. But we'll start off with 13 ways your business can win more media exposure, and this came out of Forbes. So we're kind of following what the experts say. And they say to follow the headlines. So if you know of something that's happened nationally and it relates to what you're doing, either your product, your service, an event that you're having, participate with that, get on board with that, utilize that. Oh, we see Shannon, yay, she's back. Utilize that, and there's also where you can use your service, because it's called Help a Reporter Out, and you can get on that list. And so when they want to call an expert, they'll call, you'll be on that call list, and that increases your credibility as a source to go to. So,
and you always wonder where those people come from.
Right.
You see them being interviewed.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what credentials does this person have? But so it's good to know how to get on that list. Yeah. Because you are seen as an expert in that field.
Oh, absolutely. Unless it's a disaster, and then they always interview like the worst Jeff Foxworthy. He always does
right.
that. Like they get the lady in the moo-moo and the curlers, and it's like, yeah, let's have them represent our entire state. I mean, we get that too after hurricanes, but the more that you get out there, the more credibility that you have. The more articles you write, the more that you are quoted, and your information is shared, then you do get seen as the expert. Writing a book also helps, because it doesn't have to be, War and Peace. It can be a little, little ones that are only 64 pages. They're still a book. So then you become the expert, because then, that can be used to increase your credibility, and people look to you then as a resource.
And that's all free. Like, other than your time,
right?
Like when I think of media exposure, the dollar signs in my eyes start flashing, because you think, well, I got to buy a billboard, and I've got to pay for advertising and print media and stuff. But it doesn't necessarily, especially with social media nowadays,
right?
It doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg.
The one thing with social media, though, a lot of people think, oh, if I just post on Facebook, it's great. But they change your algorithm so often that we were talking to, who was that expert that he just said that he'll go to bed at night. Well, and I know Sherry Martin said she'll go to bed at night and the next morning not be the expert again, because they've changed everything overnight. I mean, it's just so difficult. So, but we see some people. So we've got some shout outs. I see Diane Bryson, and we're going to unmute Diane, and then we're going to go to Shannon and get her on with us. So Diane, let me hold on. Let me click on you. Oh, there we go. And unmute. Can we hear you? No. Why is it not unmuting? Unmute. Hello? No, that's not working either. Okay.
There
we go. Okay, so it's just slow. Okay. How are you?
Me?
Oh, we can't really hear you. How are you doing?
It's recording live on Facebook.
It's not live on Facebook?
No, it is. It says recording live on Facebook.
Oh, it is now. Okay, great. Yeah, we've had a few technical difficulties, but it looks like we're back on. So Diane, tell us a little bit about True Choice Telecom and what you do to help market yourself.
Okay. Well, True Choice Telecom Technology, we are a liaison between all the different service providers like Spectrum, AT&T, Windstream, CenturyLink. So rather than pick up the phone and call 1-800-SPECTRUM, pick up the phone and call Diane Bryson, the Telecom Diva. Okay. So I do a lot of constant contact. I have my own little constant contact account. I keep it under 500 so it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to do it. And I put messages out there, not necessarily about me or the company or what I do, but just informational things. Just like, like I did one the other day about telecom acronyms.
Yeah.
Because people don't even know what they mean, and so I threw a few out there, and and Sherry Martin even commented on it, so that was good to get her good feedback on it. So I just try to be, just like you said, I want to be the go-to person that people say, hey Diane, whether it's about telecom or about something else, that I probably know somebody that does that. So that's where I am. That's why I could go to all these things and do all these things.
Well, we appreciate it, and we know, yes, you are the great networker. So I would say for you, personal relations definitely make a big difference in how you market your business as well. Okay, well then we are going to go to Shannon. So we'll put you back on mute, Diane, and we'll turn this over to Shannon. Hopefully I can get this to work properly.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Yes. Oh, we see you too. Oh, yes. Oh, look at that.
Yay, and I love that you started out with HARO, Help a Reporter Out. I actually have an attorney friend who's our speaker at Brevard Business Professionals this month who answered a response and now been selected to be a contributor for a book.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of added benefits. So today, thank you for asking me to come and talk about Media Magic and how to tap into thousands of dollars of free press. I love how you mentioned that sometimes when you hear media, you think pull out your pocketbook and then you don't always know if you get a return. And so one of the things that I always invite people to do for starters is to develop their press release or their expert, what I call their expert power bio. This is something that the media, they want to know who they're talking to. Clients also want to know who they're speaking with. Your bio is something that gets people to pay attention, take notice, and really know who you are without having to brag about yourself. So Nancy, I know you have a wonderful bio. Do you both have bios, Keith and Diane?
I do. I'm not sure mine would be classified as wonderful, but I have a bio.
Oh, please be stable. Please be stable.
But I've taken Shannon's class, and she, helps you walk through to put that together. And I was just listening to, Chamber World, you know what I mean? So anyway, one of our speakers gave us 157 tips, and one of them was January 1st, put together your new bio. Every year you need to update it, and it's not to say that you're trying to look for a new job, but every single year you should take the time, January 1st, to update with your accomplishments and what needs to be in there, or finish off the power bio that Shannon suggests you do if you haven't done it all. So that's what he said.
Awesome. And then the next thing is about being able to craft that story. Being able to tell the story and having a press release ready. Are you able to hear me, Nancy, okay? I noticed the signal.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you kind of are buffering a bit. Perfect. So you're frozen a little bit.
Okay. Okay, does that help a little bit?
No, we don't see you at all. Just business acceleration is all I can see. We lost beautiful you. Oh, now you're back. Okay, here you are.
Perfect. So there are 6 essentials for a press kit. And the first one is an expert power bio. The second one is to have a press release, actually have a press release written. The third item is to have your marketing material together. So that could be a company brochure, your business.
We lost you again there for a second. What was that?
One is having any written.
Oh, yeah, the signal isn't, and now we lost you again for a minute. Sorry about that, Shannon.
Okay. Am I back?
Yes.
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 I tried to get it on my phone too as backup in case it went back and forth.
Yes. Yeah, you never know what signals are going to be like.
They want to see if you've been in the media before. Media. So I know you've been able to, and so it's good to include that publicity and have that ready and actually share that publicity. Is it still buffering, Nancy?
No, we can finally hear you now.
Okay, good. And then the next part is action photos. Having action photos on hand and ready to go. They love seeing, headshots are good. You want to have those for your business. But in free publicity, if you can have those photos ready, the reporters can really benefit from having them set. And having the action photos is key to be in high resolution, especially for print. You don't want to pull it off of your website. You want to make sure that it's photographer grade. And I always submit those with my press release. Did you two want to
get them seen? Because everybody and their brother wants to send in stuff now to the paper and this, and this is a great story, whereas maybe not for them. So, or are you going to get into that of how you get seen in the shuffle of I'm sure they get, because what is there, like 2,500 nonprofits here just in Brevard County, so I'm sure everyone sends their events, and so they're inundated. How do you become the one? How do you get your message seen?
So I try to pick three topics that I stay within. One is human interest. I think the media loves human interest, and obviously, if there's something happening in the news, that they're gonna many times choose that over human interest. But they love human interest. Also, community give back and education. So education could be information that could help the readers learn and grow. Now, there's all types of news, but those are the three that I focus on. And how you stand out from the rest is creating a tagline that sizzles is the first part. Mm-hmm. Putting it right at the top and really making it, it could be 3 steps to 9 strategies to how to overcome. Those taglines that sizzle are great. If you can bring in a popular name, like the Chamber of Commerce is a well-known name. If you mention a stat, anything that, what's that?
What's that? No, we just said yes, the Chamber is a well-known name.
I'm going to move. Just 1 second.
Okay, we'll turn it on to us and we'll chat for a sec then. Oh, that's way better.
Okay. Yep, I'm going to move really quick.
Okay, we'll turn it around to us then, if I can get it. Okay, there we are. Okay. So sorry about that. We don't mean to have so much technical difficulties today. Yeah, I think Shannon had some really good points with, having the Power Bio. So just to kind of talk about what she was saying, to have your Power Bio, to make sure you have a press release, to talk about, successes that you've already had, because sometimes, we don't really talk about our past successes. Like when you had that donation, that huge donation made it, that was wonderful. When you've had your 5Ks or accomplishments that you made, I think that's important to be able to do that. And then, to have our press release ready. And if you continue to have events, I mean, really, it's not a cut and paste, because obviously, like Shannon said, you want to have some of those sizzle and catch phrases that will drive more interest. But you pretty much, change what the event is, where it is, the who, what, where, when, and why, and then, you send that out with the relevant information. So it's all set to go. This shouldn't be reinventing the wheel every single time you do a press release.
One of my mentors also coached me on trying to make sure that your press release is as press ready as possible. Because if they, if you send them something and they have to basically rewrite it, the chances of them publishing it are probably pretty rare. But if you really try to answer those, who, what, when, where, why questions, making sure, I love Shannon's idea of having just a sizzling tagline at the top, something to capture their attention. If it's more press ready, I think it will more likely get printed than not.
Well, and even for Diane, when she said she does her constant contact and sends that out, to have more success and people opening that, you want to have a sizzle tagline.
Sure.
Otherwise, if we just have from Greater Palm Bay Chamber, they're like, oh, not another freaking thing, but if you put something that's exciting, sometimes a little risque or whatever, people are always interested in, hey, what's that about? So it does help increase your open rate. And that's what you're looking for, is how do you get the attention when there's so many emails that are being sent to these different, places. And then you kind of have to look at too who your target market is, because maybe sending something to Florida Today isn't the best place for you anymore. Maybe Facebook is, or LinkedIn or Instagram, or it may be better to be on, if you can get on a billboard or television or in a certain magazine, like the Boomer Guide. I mean, that's for seniors. It's targeted, a year long. Yeah, absolutely targeted. So knowing that, I think, is important. So looks like we have Shannon back, so I am going to unmute again and turn it back to Shannon. We were just recapping all your great tips, Shannon, and I don't think we got to all of them, but you're back, and hopefully this works
better. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay. So thank you so much. Yes. And so I found that you want to be able to stand out. And so I have a simple press release format. I always keep it on one page. The tag, or the subject line at the top. I don't use logos or anything that's going to appear like a advertisement, because the idea of getting a story picked up is to get noticed, and ideally they'll send a reporter out and connect with you to talk about you on your behalf. So I try to minimize anything that seems promotional if possible. So I don't use logos, except for I would use the chamber logo, because that's a national, if not international brand. And there are some nonprofits that I would say you could do that with also. And then the first paragraph, I just do 3 simple paragraphs. And the first one is where we talk about the challenge or the problem. And if you can start out with stats and a third-party source, that can be really make it stand out. Because the idea is to have, when they look at it, to say, wow, I want to know more, right? And so I keep it short and sweet, usually 2 or 3 sentences in that first paragraph. But if you can quote stats about the challenge or the problem that you're solving, that would be ideal. If you don't have stats, then sometimes we'll quote famous people, and that's kind of my second option. I found the stats and numbers are number 1 and most appealing. Also, just to back up for a minute, Nancy, in the tagline or the subject line, numbers really get noticed. They've actually done studies for what gets picked up in subject lines, and whenever there's a number, that has a higher click rate, a higher open rate. So if you can include a number, that is ideal. Okay. So the second paragraph is where you quote yourself as an expert. So this is really cool, because you, whether you're an expert or not, you want to quote yourself. And this, I tell people, it could be maybe what you stand for. So like Keith, you might say, we're here to help support children that are hungry. And then you would say Keith G. You could say children's advocate. I try to keep it very general or generic. Now, again, if you have a well-recognized name, you can quote that. But even with my book, I have a book, Media Magic. I'm not going to say best-selling author of Media Magic. I personally would not put my book, because that seems like advertising. But I would put best-selling author, whatever it might be. So you can play with that, but I found that the less you try to advertise, the more likely it is to get picked up. Then after you quote yourself, then you can talk for a few sentences about the solution and how you provide that solution, or maybe your vision and mission and what you're up to. And then the third paragraph is the call to action. Now, Nancy, I didn't mention a key point here in how you stand out from every other press release that gets sent in, is that you do this in double space. So what that means is that you have to choose words wisely, be very mindful to be quick, clear, and concise. But if you can put this on one page, 3 paragraphs, start with stats and numbers and the problems, and then allow the double space all on one page, it makes a huge difference for them picking it up and getting noticed. Now, there are many different ways of writing press releases. Associated Press style, those are great. There's not a right or wrong. I just know that this particular format has helped me garner millions of dollars in free publicity, and many times they pick up the phone and they write an article and they tell the story, which is powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you find that if we'll turn it around to us for a second? This is not speed today. So do you find that if okay, now I'm losing my train of thought. This is not my day.
So Shannon, one of the things that I was thinking is there a preferred method of, or a preferred mode of media? Like for press releases, are there places like on social media where press releases are appropriate, or is that really just a print media format?
I found that I use this format in all areas that will accept press releases. So you can pay for PR. It's PR Web. There's lots of online platforms to submit in that format. And if Keith, if I could really leave one key thing, is it's that language of being quick, clear, and concise, including the stats if you can, talking about the problem you're addressing. But the number one rule is always in the format that they request. So if I say these 3 paragraphs, if they have a website that has something specific, follow it, but follow the language, quoting yourself, trying to see more story worthy than selling. HARO, Help a Reporter Out, is another great resource. I type in free press, free calendar listings. There's a lot of places where you can tap in and get media.
Okay, and do you find, like, because a lot of magazines, or if you have your press release where they kind of pick it up and want to do a story about it, then when it's in let's say the newspaper or whatever, it seems like an unsolicited, like, wow, they're just covering that. So you get more credibility rather than paying for an ad. And a lot of magazines have kind of picked up on that, where it's like an info story where, the people have paid for the ad, but they make it look like, a little expose on the business, so that I don't think people see it as they're trying to sell to you. Kind of thing. What do you think of that format? And I know that's not free because people are actually paying for it. But sometimes, and they do that on television too, where I think I'm watching a program and all of a sudden, like, a celebrity launches into whatever cosmetic line or something that they're selling. They sort of kind of bring you into it the back doorway. I don't know how to, explain it.
I think it's great. I think anytime you can get more than just an ad about you, and especially storytelling, is really powerful. If you can pay for it and get an article, sometimes that has more of an impact than just an advertisement, because people can really follow you in a story and in a journey. And like, ideally, I hope a lot of them say paid advertisement so that people know that it's a paid advertisement somewhere, even if it's in small print. But I think any publicity is good publicity, and the more it's a story, people can follow you.
Okay, great.
So there's also another key thing with the media that I think is not just submitting it and expecting it to get picked up. Like I've found that you do need to make connections and follow up and ask if did they receive it. Is it at the right department, or is there something that needs to change? So a lot of times I don't say just submit it. I say you want to submit it and then follow up, or I like to make the calls ahead of time and say, I have a newsworthy story. I usually share the tagline that sizzles and wanted to submit this for your readers, and really trying to make it about the readers, raising awareness or education or something that has an impact, community project.
Okay, and then, so how far in advance? Because if you do it too far in advance, it's not relevant, unless it's kind of a save the date, and then you might see that with postcards, but you often don't see a lot of that in magazines or newspapers. Some, can afford to pay for that, or they get it in there, the big charities. But for most people, like what's kind of the rule of thumb of how far in advance? And I know you always have to look at the publication. So if it's a magazine, usually you're a month and a half before it's coming out because they need all the artwork and setup, and then it goes to print. So that's kind of different. Radio would be, I would think, a different time frame. The local newspaper, a different time frame, unless it's weekly. So like Hometown News is obviously different than Florida Today. So what's your recommendations with lead time on that?
Well, I know Space Coast Business, which we're all familiar with in our area, they start working on their issues 120 days in advance. So you want to really be thinking ahead of time with them in particular. It doesn't mean that they haven't got things in the 90 days, but they're really strategically starting to work on their magazine 120 days in advance. So you're correct, Nancy. The magazines are they need more notice, and some of them, like Everything Brevard, she prints it every 2 months or every quarter. So you want to get familiar. In the magazines, they do need more. But Florida Today and some of the dailies, we've gotten things in as little as 7 days, 9 days. Now that's not ideal,
right?
Especially if you're new to this and they don't know your name. But we have been successful with a good tagline that sizzles and a great story. Those dailies are usually who we go to. But to build a relationship, I would say at least 45 days out, starting to get 45, 30 days out, so that you're building that relationship and getting to know them and giving them what they need.
Yeah, I know Everything Brevard, they're working on their, September, October issue and trying to wrap that up now. So if you're looking to get in and you're thinking, okay, that's way out there. No, I mean, you're right, because they do every 2 months, they're looking at, wrapping theirs up now. So I think lead times are really important. I think one thing that's really important that is here on the Space Coast is the Florida Public Relations Association always have that media roundtable where you are able to go and they talk about all the different media sources here in the county, and each one tells you the lead time. They give you who you need to reach out to. They have the their emails, or if they want to be, well, no one faxes anymore. I had a laugh. I'm looking at old chamber stuff and everything was faxes. But they kind of have, who you need to contact, really how far in advance. They talk about, sending it to more than one person depending on what the topic is, but not inundating everybody. And I think that's a really great service that the Florida Public Relations puts on once a year, because I think a lot of people don't know who to reach out to. And sometimes you have to say too, with these media outlets, they do have some turnover. So, making sure that you get the right person is always really important as well. So
And I think Shannon also mentioned the making sure you got the right department. So,
Right.
you know,
yeah.
especially with a bigger organization like Florida Today or something.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you think, well, this is great for business, but then it could be special interest or,
Right.
you know, and just knowing who, and as Shannon mentioned, making those relationships so they can forward it along if they go, oh, no, this isn't really for me, but I'll make sure that the right department gets it, because having that relationship, otherwise they'll be like, well, no, that's not me, and then trash. So, but we'll turn back to Shannon because I think she accidentally got muted.
And no, I was just muting background. So Keith, you brought up a good point. I actually have an interesting strategy that I hope the Florida Today is not listening to, but I send it to multiple departments so that they can, you know, it's like by the time it gets where it's going, that it's created a buzz within the department. So I don't, you know, if it has nothing to do with sports, I'm not going to send it to sports. But if it has to do with community or business or the main editor, I believe in sending it to multiple places just so that it seems like the chances are a little bit higher to get out there. But you do want to follow up and get it to that correct department so that you make sure that you get it published.
Right. That's great. Well, and I wanted to, I know there's a lot of topics to cover, but I wanted to interject right now with our media auction, because we're calling it our advertising and marketing auction. And this is our brochure that we had last year, because we have a hard time explaining this event to people, and it is the best event to get advertising for pennies on the dollar. You know, we have everything from Aldea Today with a quarter-page ad. We had an ad on WFIT, so that's public radio during drive time. We had Florida Public Schools, Brevard Public Schools. It reached 15,000 people, you know, with 9,000 employees, the local government, the local media. We had Viera Voice, we had Senior Scene, Space Coast Daily, everythingbrevard.com did a huge package. She's doing a $10,000 package this year with being in her magazine and online, and just unbelievable. Hometown News, we've got Space Coast Business, Clear Channel, we had a billboard. These things go for pennies on the dollar. Saving Safari, Brevard Business News, we had Senior Scene, The Beachsider, Digital Inc. Did window clings. We had banners, where those pull-up banners. We had postcards and posters. Ebony News Today was on here. The Cocoa Beach Explorer. We had Spotlight Magazine. I mean, if you wanted the county covered, we have Print Depot this year. We had last year it was Pit Printing, and we had bold breakthrough videos. If you wanted one of those sizzle videos that you could put on your Facebook page or website. We cover the gamut at this. It's free to come. You get great items, and because we do it in September, you can use it to plan your strategy for 2020. So it kind of is the best way to get media at pennies on the dollar, and for any size business, because I'm sure every business out there can use business cards, use postcards, use posters, flyers. It all helps. And so we actually this year are doing marketing where you get 1 or 2 hour sessions with strategists. Talk about fantastic, because some people, you know, we can give them all these different tools, but they don't know how to put it all together. So sitting down with a marketing strategist to put that together, talk about, you know, a fabulous jump for any business. So I just wanted to mention that because it's in October, but October 18th, but you know, it's coming up, and we really have a hard time explaining to people how amazing this event is. So I'm going to turn us off and go back to Shannon, if I can move the mouse over here again, and let's put it on Shannon. Oops.
Yes, and I love, you're absolutely correct. It is an ideal, everybody should be there, because the access to media and seeing what's out there, like you get to, it's hands-on, also being able to see what media outlets are out there that they may not be thinking about. I'm going to add another great low budget marketing opportunity, which is being a member of the Chamber of Commerce, because I know that when you join the Chamber of Commerce, well, there's two things. When you join the Chamber of Commerce, you get it. I was blown away on the new member kit and all that you've went out and negotiated on the business's behalf to help them get that jump start on their business in marketing. You've got things from Florida Today, Hometown News. So thank you, Nancy. I think that is a incredible deal, is marketing. And then the other thing that I'm also blown away by is your trustee program, because your trustee program is like a year's worth of marketing at not only all of your events, the different print material. I mean, it is amazing what a trustee can get. I've looked at all the ways to expand marketing dollars and where we invest and reach our clients. So I know you weren't expecting that, but I think people listening should really take a look at when they're looking at their marketing outlets and their marketing budgets, taking a look at the trustee option and seeing what that entails, because a whole year of marketing with all that you do is remarkable.
Oh, well, thank you.
I agree with that. And just for a pennies on the dollar type, bang for your buck, I think the Chamber is a no-brainer for businesses. I agree.
I'm going to use this testimonial from you guys and put that out there.
It's not just any chamber, it's the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. This is what you've done. So I don't want them to think that if you see this, it's any chamber. This is what you've went out and done for our members and our business community.
Well, thank you, Shannon. I think, one of the things with our trustees, and thank you for letting me mention that, is that, it starts at $1,500. And so for some that seems very expensive, but we have a lot of small businesses that realize the value of that, because with our trustees, we announce them at every luncheon. They are on every chamber intel, and we send out 2 a week. They're on our official letterhead. They're on every big event we have. We always have our trustees on there. So they get exposure 24/7. They're on our website with a link to their page. It really does show their commitment in the chamber and the community, because I think the chamber is definitely a community vehicle. Like, we're here to improve life for all of us. And so, showing their commitment to the chamber, I think also shows their commitment to the community. And I'm thrilled with what we do and how we're able to help businesses and just watch them grow. And so to see sort of the businesses start at, the bronze level and then move up to the silver and then the gold, and as they grow with us, and that's really what our goal is. So thank you for bringing that up, Shannon. Put it back to you. We can move on now. That was our testimonial. That was the Chamber PSA.
Absolutely. So just in kind of, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you're frozen
Can you
again.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
So just in closing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can. Okay. Is also, I think the media list is one of your greatest assets. We've heard that in a business, having a contact list is a great asset. Well, having a media list is a great asset. So I always invite people to start building your media list, and in that media list can include events. I know, Keith, you do events where you bring in sponsorship.
We do.
Looking at your media and your marketing, look at events as another way of getting out there, and start that media list, because when you have a story, when you have something going on, everybody, Nancy, I feel like each one of us has 50 to 100 stories or educational that we keep sharing, and we could write something every week and look at garnering free publicity. So creating that media list, which includes events, includes things like the Chamber of Commerce, can become one of your greatest assets to getting the news out.
Right. No, that's very true. And I think I think part of the problem is people think, oh, well, if we have to write something every day, sometimes, that's, they say you should have content, and, it just becomes overwhelming. But if really you know, and Sherry Martin's really good at saying about this, you know, if you write articles and that, instead of putting the whole thing out there, you know, using different tips from it and the top 3 tips of, and it could be from one paragraph so that you can plan out your entire week of media relations and stuff of to keep people top of mind, and because it really should be a conversation back and forth. And I think sometimes we get so obsessed with just sending stuff out and not realizing you're trying to engage a conversation. Like, it's not just, oh, look at all we're doing. It's, you know, hey, you know, have them respond to, you know, that. So when Diane Bryson, she sends out, and she has her dog on there, and, you know, it's not just everything to do with telecom. It's, you know, asking people questions or showing, you know, pictures. I know David Cable will put recipes on cards and stuff like that. So, you know, using those different methods to engage people, because, you know, business is great, but, you know, we don't want to be inundated 24/7 with it. You know, you want to really get to know people. And so when they're putting out stuff that's a little more personal than that, I think that increases that trust factor, and you know, you're more apt to want to do business with them. So we'll go back to you, Shannon, because I know you're having to step out early. And so am I, and we're either leaving this to Keith or we're given the hi, we're leaving early. So I think we've now frozen. Oh, here you are. Yep, you're back.
Oh.
Do you have?
So I did want to share one. Can you hear me okay, Nancy?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay, perfect. We do a Media Magic event where we help people develop their press kit, develop their power bio, and we also bring in the local media panels. So we have that coming up in September. I know that we're going to be hopefully partnering with you, Nancy, on that event. So if there's anybody that wants help with garnering publicity, this is a great chance where we help you. You actually leave with a press release, and we help you complete that power bio. So if you need that hand holding, this is it. And last year, Geo brought in, it was so awesome. We had the Florida Today there. We had Tracy Strotter there with Everything Brevard. We had Hometown News and even Fox News. So it was really not Fox, Spectrum. Sorry, Spectrum. So that was wonderful.
Wow, excellent. Well, we will get, oh, hold on, let me flick it over here. We're so slow. So we will get the details on that, Shannon, and definitely send that out to our members, because I think it's really important. And having those hands-on sessions really make the difference, because we all go to stuff, we get the papers, we take it back, and then it goes in a drawer, and you think, one of these days I need to get to that. So having it hands-on, and you walk away with the press release, you have your kit together, or the start of it. Okay, you might laugh at me, but today I actually went into my phone and looked at all my appointments and started, you know, having them as when they reoccur. And I hadn't done it correctly the first time, so they were showing up at all different dates. So sitting down and actually doing them right, I mean, that's what Shannon's event is, where you can go just be quiet and do the work and walk away with it done. And I think that's really rewarding. So Shannon will definitely partner with you on that and get that information sent out. So when you have it all finalized, or if you have it now, you know, just send it over and we'll definitely get that into our chamber intel. So I thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate your knowledge and expertise. For those of you that don't know, Shannon wrote Media Magic, and she is just the most phenomenal lady. So if you can go to any of her trainings, any of her sessions, I think I've gone to most of everything she does, because I just think they're phenomenal. And so we keep you in touch, because she lets us know, so we send them out. And I know they have a cruise coming up, so if you want to combine business and pleasure, then check out their cruise. And let me go back to Shannon, because I know she has to go in a second, but let me get that website so we can tell you where to go.
Yeah, and just the dates of the next Media Magic is September 12th and 13th.
Perfect.
Here in Melbourne, and you can find out about any of our events at the Business Acceleration Network. And if I was to give a closing remark, Nancy, it would be that there is thousands of dollars of free publicity with your name on it. You just got to go out there and get it. So whether you do it with a press release or submitting an article, or, you know, obviously joining the chamber costs you a little bit, but go out there and look at those ways of leveraging your marketing dollars and sharing your story.
And Shannon, tell us the dates of the cruise too.
Oh my goodness. And our cruise has been raising money for Keith. We're so excited.
Thank you.
October 13th through the 20th.
Perfect. Okay, well, any last words, or are we good? Is that, we'll say goodbye?
You're amazing. Just join the chamber. Make sure you join the chamber. Check out the trustee package. Divert your marketing dollars to something that's going to put you in front of people, not just in print.
Thank you, Shannon, and thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Okay, well then I have Keith here, and he is going to, are you going to take us home?
I'm going to take over. Yep.
Yeah, so I have to go early too. Poor Keith, we're leaving him alone today, but no, Carolina will come and help you to wrap it up in that. But I want to thank everybody for, participating with our chamber chats, because, we reach so many more people than when we used to have the trainings at the chamber. We'd have anywhere from 5 to 25 people, but with this, by the end of our sessions, we usually have a couple hundred people that have viewed it or participated. So I apologize for not doing the shout outs today. This one is not showing up on mine, but there was Vicki McNutt-Pate who liked us.
Hey, Vicki.
Yes, thank you. And we did have somebody share us. That's probably, I don't know. But anyway, but I just want to thank everybody for being part of it, and join us. We're always the third Tuesday of every month. And I will say goodbye, but I know Keith is here for another 10 minutes. So
cool.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to say, I think locally there's a lot of resources that are available to you. When it comes to writing a press release, it can seem pretty overwhelming. Shannon is a great resource, of course. We also have Tracy Stoddard from Everything Brevard. I've worked with Adrian at Brevard Business News, which is a weekly publication, and they've been really great. They actually have a guideline of how to write a press release, an effective press release. I know Adrian would share that with you if you asked her to, and that's an easy way to get started with press releases. Obviously, there's templates online. I loved Shannon's ideas on just making it short, sweet, very concise, and I love the 3-paragraph format. I think that works really well. So wanted to thank her for that. Also with all marketing, I think it comes down to relationships. And so that's even with media. If you can build relationships with those folks in the media, I mentioned Tracy from Everything Brevard locally here, and Adrian from Brevard Business News, but building those relationships, when they see an email come from you, they're more apt to open it, they're more apt to work with you to get it published or to get it up online, and to get that exposure that you're looking for. So for me, it always comes down to relationships and making sure that you are building those long-term relationships with the folks that are in the media. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is just how all of this fits into your overall PR strategy and marketing strategy. So obviously media and press releases should be part of your strategy, but it should only be a part of your strategy. So you need to make sure that fits in well. We've talked a little bit today about money and making sure that your dollar goes as far as it can, but that is something that you have to look at from your overall business strategy standpoint. How much do you want to spend on marketing? How much of that is going to be spent in media and getting some exposure that way? We've talked about ways to stretch those dollars through the media auction, through joining a chamber, just utilizing your dollars. Oftentimes with paid advertising, the more you spend, the more exposure you get, either a larger ad or more frequency. So that's something you want to keep in mind too. If you have a limited budget, which I think most people do, most companies do, you may want to put it all into the best publication for your industry, rather than trying to spread it out, because sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. Sometimes when you have an ad in an industry-specific magazine every month, month after month after month, you can get better exposure that way and get noticed. So, you know, the other thing that we didn't really talk about, Shannon kind of mentioned that she doesn't put logos in press releases, but I think that's just an overall marketing strategy that's important, is to have very identifiable logo and something that's eye-catching. That's more part of media, but more part of marketing. But when you use it in a media package, you know, if it is effective and eye-catching, I think it really helps to set your company apart. It helps, you know, identify folks with what you're talking about. So that overall branding is very important, even when it comes down to media and getting that exposure that you're looking for. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I know Nancy mentioned our upcoming luncheon. We're real excited. We are no longer at Life Care Center. We are going to be at Promise in Brevard starting on August 7th. We're excited about that. The address is 4105 Norfolk Parkway in West Melbourne. And just real excited about the new venue. We're going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary as a Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. And so expect some new things from the chamber and for our luncheon. It's going to have a little bit different feel to it, a fresher look. And so we're excited about having everybody out there. Come on out. If you haven't been to Promise in Brevard, you will be blown away at their facilities out there, the work that they're doing in our community. It's really incredible. And our next chamber chat is going to be on Tuesday, August 20th. And we're talking about get your business online with Google, you know, search engine optimization. Is that a good thing? You know, just how to get your business to come up higher on the results page when people go to Google and search your company or your industry. That's all things that we need to be aware of and on top of, because that's how business is done these days, is online, and people, that's how they find you. So making sure that your business is going to be recognized on Google and just getting the results that you expect and need is very important. So we're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, our business professionals is coming up this month on Tuesday, July 30th at Red Ginger. And Shannon actually coordinates that as well. This month we have Lauren Cohen from Scale Up Checkup, and she's going to be giving us some great information on just making your business more effective and more successful in the long run. So want to thank you everyone for joining us. I think we're almost out of time, but I hope you found some things that are interesting and helpful to your business. Please remember our Disaster Recovery Expo coming up this week, Thursday, at the Eastern Florida State College in Palm Bay, starting at 8:30 a.m. We have 2 different panel discussions on things that relate to your business, keeping you up and running during a disaster, whether that be a natural disaster or otherwise. And I know you'll find the information very interesting and helpful to make sure that your business is successful in the future. So thank you everyone so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you next month.